A long time ago, the Mate desktop had the option of setting a different background for each workspace. And then pre-2015, for whatever reason, they took that option away. The capability is still there, but they took the option away. I'm not sure why they did that, but it was a feature that I really, really liked. So I created a little bash script using Zenity for the graphical dialogue, just to take input to set up the configuration file, things of that nature. So I have been using this. Let me bring up my README file. I created this in January 20th, 2015. That's how long I've been using this little tiny utility that I made. And I just cleaned up the code a little bit and documented it. I created an installer and uninstaller for it. Everything seems to be working. I've tested it and tested it and tested it. So it's working as it was intended. I'm not a programmer by trade or by education, but for me it's worked out really well. I've used this ever since Ubuntu 14.04 long-term service release to the current one, 24.04 long-term service release, using the Mate desktop, and I've used it with Mint 17.1 long-term service release with the Mate desktop. Should be compatible with Mint 22.1 long-term service release. So anyway, I'll just demonstrate it here for you so that you can see that it's actually working. Let me go ahead and close out my file here. Okay, so I'm on Workspace 1. This is my Workspace applet up here, so you'll see it change workspaces. So I'm going to go to Workspace 2, and there's a different background, and then Workspace 3, there's a different background. Workspace 4, there's a different background. So you can see the background change every time that I move to a different workspace. So it just creates a little server, that just loops and loops and loops, waiting for changes in the workspace. And then when it detects the change in the workspace, it changes the background, which I assume is what Mate was doing when they actually had a configuration that you could set up to do that. So anyway, I created a little icon for it. The installer, the installer is just from the command line installer and uninstaller, but it will set up an icon for you in the menu system. It will set up an icon. I'll just show it to you right now. Okay, so here is the menu system. It's under preferences. If you scroll down to preferences, you'll see MyBackgrounds version 1.0. Also, you can bring up Control Center, and if you go to Look and Feel, you'll see that it has an icon there. And so the interface is really kludgy, because it's just a bash script and Zenity, but it works. It's kind of clunky, but it works. So we'll go ahead and launch it here just so you can see the configuration. Minimize this. Okay, so I'll show you how it works. Okay, so we'll change the backgrounds on all 4 workspaces and save our settings, and I'll show you that it will change those on the fly. You don't have to log out or log back in. It will stop the service and restart it with the new configuration. Okay, so here's how you need to do it, and there's text at the top that tells you what to do, but I'll demonstrate it. So I'm going to select workspace number 1. I'm going to select OK. And that's going to bring up my file launcher. Now, Zenity doesn't have the capability of previewing images. So if you go up here, this is what you'll normally see. But if you go up here and you select grid view instead of list view, then you'll actually get a preview of images. So I'm going to go to pictures here. I'm going to go to background, and we'll go to this quad here, and we'll select different images for each workspace. So I can double click that, or you can select OK. You can see here that it's changed the file, okay, the image file. Now I'm going to go to workspace 2, and I'm going to select OK. And I'm going to select a background for workspace 2. So I'm going to select this one. Okay, so for workspace 2 and then workspace 3. And this is just basically set up for a maximum of 4 workspaces. All right, pictures, background, quad again, number 3, and then last but not least, number 4. So grab one for workspace 4. Okay, now before you exit the application, this is important. You want to select Save Configuration, otherwise you'll have to do it all over again. Save Configuration and select OK, and then it's going to ask you if you want to save your configuration file. If you do, and I do, I will say yes. Now, right after I select yes, watch the background, it will change, okay? So there, it stops the service and restarts the service with the new images that have been saved for my configuration. So now, if I go from workspace 1 to workspace 2, to workspace 3, to workspace 4, and then back again. Don't have to log out or anything. It just does it. All right, so I think that works pretty well. All right, so now let me bring up my utility here, and we'll uninstall it. We'll uninstall it, and then we'll test it again. Okay, so I'm going to uninstall. You're going to need to have root privileges. Application uninstalled successfully. So now if I go up into my menu system here, and I go back to Preferences, and I scroll down, my icon is no longer there. If I go into Control Center, and I go into Look and Feel, my icon for the application is no longer there. So to successfully remove the application, all right. So, and then now if I move to a different workspace, it's not changing the backgrounds any longer. Okay, so now we'll go through the install. Okay, and this is going to be packaged as a zip file. There'll be a link to it in the show notes. So just download the zip file, unpack the zip file. You'll see the MyBackgrounds version 1 folder. Inside that folder, you'll have an install and uninstall script. Okay. All right, so now let's go to the next tab here. We're going to install it. All right, so it's going to ask me for my password again, and it says it's installed. So now when you uninstall it, it also removes your configuration file. Okay, not only the application and the menu item, but it also removes your configuration. So once you uninstall it and reinstall it, you're going to have to reconfigure it again. Okay, so if I go to the menu system now, and I go to Preferences, and I scroll down, MyBackgrounds version 1.0 is back now. Okay, if I go into Control Center and I go into Look and Feel, and there's my backgrounds icon again, version 1. So we'll just launch it from here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in, and I'm going to set my workspace backgrounds back to the way I had it before. So I'm going to select workspace 1. I'm going to go into my pictures, my backgrounds, my Raven's Brew, and I want to select my Wicked Wolf for number 1. I'm going to go into workspace 2, my pictures, backgrounds, Raven's Brew. And I'm going to select Dead Man's Reach for workspace 2. I'm going to go into workspace 3, select OK, pictures, backgrounds, Raven's Brew. I'm going to select the Raven for number 3, workspace number 3. Now workspace number 4, I'm going to select OK. I'm going to go into pictures, background, Raven's Brew, and let's go for the Resurrection Blend for workspace 4. Okay, so now I've selected a background for all 4 workspaces. You'll notice that they're WEPI. So I've got the filter set up so you can select PNG, JPEG, XPM, and WEPI file formats, image file formats. So I'm going to say Save My Settings. I'm going to select OK. It's going to ask me if I want to save. Okay, so now watch the background again. I'm going to select Yes. And now I have it back almost where I had it before. I think I've got a different image now for workspace 4 than I had for workspace 3. So I didn't have to log out. All I did was click Save My Settings, and it automatically shuts down the service, starts it again with the new image files. I'll go to workspace 2, workspace 3, workspace 4, back to workspace 3, 2, 1. And there you have it. So I have not installed this, gone through the installer for multiple users. So if you have multiple users on your system and they're interested in using this application, my recommendation would be just to go through the install for each user so that they have the icon available. Their configurations that it creates for their desktop backgrounds and the service that it creates are per user. So if they don't create their configuration for this application, it won't be running. It won't be running on their desktop. So maybe not everybody wants it. So just go through it and run through the install from the command line for each user, and then have each one. Then they'll have icon in their own little menu system that's set up by user too, not system wide. So once they have the icon, they can just launch the application, set up their configuration, and it will create the service for them, the little server for them with their configuration for their desktop backgrounds. Should work for multiple users, although I haven't tested it for that. So be aware of that. I think that when I redo this little application again, I'll set the whole thing up per user, rather than have the application set up system wide. That way they won't have to be a super user to set it up. Okay. All right, but anyway, it works. It works for me. I've been using it for 10 years. I haven't had any problems with it. The amount of resources it takes is minimal. As best I can tell, using Top and watching the process when I'm switching workspaces and it's loading different backgrounds, it looks to me like it uses a total of about 25 megabytes of memory, and it doesn't even register for CPU. So minimal amount of resources to run it. So anyway, don't forget there's a link to it in the show notes. Download it as a zip file, unpack it, install it from there, and then set up your configuration just like I demonstrated here. There's also a link to Raven's Brew Coffee, and Wicked Wolf is my favorite. The one that you see on the background here. They make some fantastic coffee beans and pre-ground coffee. But the Wicked Wolf is my favorite. They got a bunch of different ones, as you saw from the backgrounds: Dead Man's Reach, Raven's Brew, Resurrection Blend, Bruin Blend, several of them. So check them out. Very good coffee. All right. Anyway, that's a wrap on this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time in the Tinkerz Lab.